Hello, everyone, and welcome to our webinar today at the Able National Resource Center. We are bringing you our webinar, A New Year, A New You, Strategies to Increase Your Financial Fitness with an Able Account in 2020. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. And thank you to Prudential and our other sponsors at the Able National Resource Center for supporting our work that we're doing here. My name is Miranda Kennedy, and I'm the director of the Able National Resource Center, and we're going to go ahead and get started. So if we can go to the next slide, I'm going to share with you, in case you're joining us for the first time or would like a reminder of who we are and what we're doing here. The Able National Resource Center, also known as Able NRC, is the leading comprehensive source of objective, independent information about federal and state-related ABLE programs and activities, including guidance on tax-advantaged ABLE savings accounts. Our mission is to educate, promote, and support the positive impact ABLE can make on the lives of millions of Americans with disabilities and their families. We imagine that's why you're here joining us today. Our pioneering work in this area and our subject matter expertise make us the foremost authority on topics related to the Achieving a Better Life Experience, or ABLE Act, ABLE accounts, state ABLE programs, ABLE-related policy developments, and comprehensive integration of ABLE and financial capability strategies for people with disabilities into public service delivery systems. Our email address, or our website address, is ablenrc.org. So let's go ahead and move forward. I'm going to hand things off to my colleague, Al Miliato, who's going to be sharing it with us some of the logistics around accessing today's webinar before I introduce you to my co-presenter, and we can go ahead and get started. So Al, the floor is yours.
Thanks, Miranda. Listening to the webinar. The audio for today's meeting can be accessed using computer audio or by calling in by phone. If you select computer audio, please make sure your speakers are turned on or headphones are plugged in. If you do not have sound capabilities on your computer, or if you prefer to listen by phone, please dial 1-929-205-6099. The meeting code is 492-114-655. Captioning. Real-time captioning is provided during this webinar. The captions can be found by clicking on the closed caption icon in your Zoom controls at the bottom of the screen. If you do not see captions after clicking the button, please alert us via the chat box. You may also view captions in your browser at the following web address: streamtext.net/player?event=NDI. Submitting questions. Please use the Q&A box to submit any questions you have during the webinar, and we'll try our best to get to all of those questions. If your question is not answered during the webinar, or if you're listening by phone and not logged in, you can visit www.ablenrc.org, and hopefully you'll find answers to any question you might have there. Technical assistance. If you experience any technical difficulties during the webinar, please use the chat box to send a message to me, the host of today's event, or you may email me directly, and my email address is amilioto@ablenrc.org. Please note, this webinar is being recorded and the materials will be placed on the Able National Resource Center website, along with all of our other Able webinars at ablenrc.org/resources/webinars. And with that, I will turn things over to Miranda.
Thank you, Al, and thank you everyone again for being here with us. My name is Miranda Kennedy. I'm the director of the Able National Resource Center, and my colleague Marlene Uliski is a manager of financial empowerment at National Disability Institute, and we're going to be providing the presentation today. We are also supported by our team, Al Miliato, who's going to be supporting us in the background, as well as Lori Schaller, who will be responding to questions in the Q&A and chat. She's a subject matter expert as well. So we hope you have the support you need to glean the most you can from today's presentation. Also, please do note to download the PowerPoint because the resources, the guidance, it's all on there for you. We put all our cards on the table here at Able National Resource Center. So with that, let's go ahead and take a look at the objectives for today. So our objectives here are to really help everyone get on the same page and learn how to begin to incorporate your New Year's resolutions into Able savings goals and build a process to take control of your finances. That can be daunting, so we're going to help break it down with some tips. We're also going to be talking about links between health, fitness, and healthy finances, and providing some tips and promising practices to strengthen your core with Able fundamentals for 2020 success. Help you find workout buddies to help you reach your Able goals through your Able circle of support. Help increase your flexibility by using various Able financial tools. Build that financial endurance by delaying disbursements and learning about compounded interest. And maintaining a well-balanced Able account into 2020 with options to fund your account that you may not know about. So this is what we're hoping to achieve in our hour together here today. Let's go ahead and take a look at resolutions for health and wealth and talk about New Year's resolutions, because we're tying this to the new year. It's a new year, it's a new decade. It's really a new start, and it's a great time to start fresh and think about what you will do, what you're going to change or do better in the coming year. You know, those New Year's resolutions are really meant to help. You know, it's when you make up your mind to do something that's important to you. And a recent survey found that 67% of respondents said that saving more money and saving for retirement were among their New Year's resolutions. In addition to, of course, staying healthy or starting healthy habits. That's also another one of the really popular New Year's resolutions. So let's go ahead and do a quick poll here just to see where we're at. We want to get a little bit of engagement from our group, and we want to ask you some questions. And Al's going to help guide us on how to take this poll. It's going to pop up here on the screen, but the questions, and I'm going to read those aloud. The poll question we have for you is, if you made a New Year's resolution, what was it? And you can select one or more of the following. Saving for a big ticket item, like a vehicle or assistive technology. Saving for long-term goals, home ownership, education, or retirement. Eliminating or reducing debt and or developing a financial emergency fund. Focusing on physical, mental, emotional health and adopting healthy habits. Spending more time with family or your circle of support. Traveling to new places, or other. So Al, can you support folks in helping them to take the poll that's up on the screen in front of them? Is there any other guidance you have for them? You might be on mute. Oh, there it is.
Nope. Yep, just go ahead and start answering the poll question.
You can just use your mouse, click on the screen, and then we'll give everyone just like a minute to go ahead and take a look. And it sounds like you can select more than one, right, Al?
Yes.
Okay. Are we starting to see any front runners here, Al?
I see leading the pack right now is focusing on physical, mental, emotional health, and adopting healthy habits.
All right. Looks like we've got some folks who are probably contributing also to the chat. If you can do it on the screen, that would be great too, but maybe we could take a look at the chat numbers too. It seems like D is leading on there as well. Okay, let's go ahead and wrap up. And Al, can you share what were our top leaders and in what order? Okay, we can see on the screen in front of us. Thanks, Al. So it looks like, yeah, 52% said focusing on physical, mental, emotional health and adopting healthy habits. Next up, we've got eliminating, reducing debt. and saving for long-term goals. So those are our top three. It looks like all were important, and some of you certainly may have chosen multiple among those. Okay, thank you, everyone. That's helpful to know. And I think today's presentation will tie into and support all of that. So let's go ahead and go to the next slide and talk about, funny enough, it's like we knew you were going to answer that way. So let's talk about the link between financial health and physical and mental and emotional health. So this will probably not come as much of a surprise to anyone joining us here today, but financial stress causes stress on a body and can negatively impact physical and mental health. And that stress can trigger unhealthy habits. So what can we do when this happens? We can adopt strategies that benefit us financially as well as physically. And among these can include budgeting for a healthy lifestyle that helps your pocketbook. Eating out and eating fast food can be expensive and unhealthy. Another would be regular exercise. Promotes a healthy body to keep you strong to prevent illness and injury, along with a healthy mind, which promotes good decision making. So exercise also helps you to connect with your body and can improve your confidence to help you reach your goals. So those are some strategies. Other things to consider, explore other opportunities to become physically and financially fit. Planning to be healthy is very similar to planning to be wealthy. There's good close tie-ins to this, and both take discipline and commitment. So let's go ahead and go to the next slide. We just want to give an example of the link of a very direct link between healthy living and ABLE accounts right here at the beginning. And you'll see on the right-hand side a great picture of our 2019 ABLE National Resource Center Ambassador, Taylor Carty. She's a young woman in her early 20s, and she participated in the program we're going to be talking about here, the Accessible Wellness and Empowerment Program. And you can see her here with her trainer, Rachel Kahn, in front of the swimming pool, and Rachel's sitting there. She's in her accessible wheelchair and with the thumbs up with Rachel. And the Accessible Wellness and Empowerment Program at UC Berkeley, it's a 501c3 nonprofit that provides increased access to recreational sports facilities, equipment, and one-on-one training at no extra cost for students with mobility, vision, hearing, or invisible disabilities. So something to consider here, and why we're using this as an example, the Accessible Wellness and Empowerment Program, as this example, it's funded through June of 2020, and it's free to participants. However, this program and others like it often struggle with funding. Rachel was an integral part of this, Rachel is an integral part of this, but Taylor, who's our ambassador, had participated in this program and shared with us, the struggle they had with the funding for this. And something to keep in mind, because this is free and no cost to participants, but costs that are associated with fitness programs, those can be a perfect use of ABLE funds as a qualified disability expense that increases health, independence, and quality of life. So for programs like this, ABLE account funds can be used to support those programs. Additionally, we do encourage folks, check out these kinds of programs that may exist in your community, as well as exploring your local YMCA to do so. So let's go ahead and take a look at just this next slide that's talking about financial fitness and physical fitness resolutions. While it may seem like a slow start, making small changes can make it easier to stick to your new habits and increase the likelihood of long-term success. So think about making that commitment today if you haven't already. This may line up with commitments you've already made, but choosing your priorities and setting short-term and long-term goals, but being realistic, reassessing regularly, planning accordingly as needed, and going for it. So making those adjustments. We do have a goal-setting worksheet to help you get started. There's a link here, as well as on one of our final slides with resources from ABLE National Resource Center on how to manage your account, how to set those financial goals. And keep in mind, progress, it's made by small gains over a long period of time, whether it's physical fitness or financial fitness. They are very aligned. And don't expect instant results. It's a marathon, not a sprint. And sometimes you need help to stay motivated, to learn and get on the right pathway. And don't be afraid to seek help when needed. We're going to be talking about that circle of support around that. And keeping in mind that if you've got a setback, getting back on track, identifying and addressing any barriers, do the best you can right now, today, for a better future. And every day along those lines, just keep moving forward And tying these two things together can make a whole lot of sense in doing so. You do want to stick to those new habits and create that long-term success. So when we think about that, one of the first things we're going to be talking about is strengthening your core and financial fundamentals for success, some real tools to do so. And that's going to take us into the next discussion around planning ahead, goal setting. Let's dive into some details because there's more to it than just a lot of nice, fancy, go get 'em kind of cheerleading from me. So Marlene's going to take us in this next section through some processes, through some strategies, share some tools with you to get started with strengthening your core, your financial core. Marlene?
Okay, thanks, Miranda, and thank you all for taking the time this morning or this afternoon to be with us to listen to this presentation. So let's talk about planning ahead by setting goals. And setting short-term and long-term goals creates a roadmap for your success. For those who aren't real familiar with setting goals, it's common to have both a short-term goal and a long-term goal. And short-term goals are those achieved rather quickly, perhaps in a year or less, and long-term goals take a longer period of time to accomplish. And that may be something like 5 years or more. It could be something like the purchase of a home, saving for an accessible vehicle, and so on. Now, these goals, they'll give you direction and a destination and help you to take control of your life and your future. And this perspective will help you with decision making. Now, the goals give you hope and they give you something to aspire to, and they can be very motivating. Although they're challenging, they give you a sense too of personal satisfaction. And setting and reaching your goals builds confidence and gives you a sense of personal pride. Now, once you have identified your goals, consider using the STAR method of setting goals, and you'll see that on the right side of this slide. And this method actually gives you some structure to goal setting, with each letter of the word STAR representing a step which defines your goal and makes it clearer. So S stands for specific. It defines what you want to achieve. It helps if you would write down that goal. Try to remember that if circumstances change, that goal may change also. You may need to amend it, so it is rather flexible. T stands for timely. That's your timeline. It's your target date for achieving that goal. And once again, if your goal changes along the way because of circumstances, that timeline may change also. A stands for action-oriented. That's how you will achieve that goal. Stretch yourself, but don't set goals that are so difficult for you to achieve that you can't attain them. R stands for realistic. The goal is attainable in light of any obstacles. Now, to learn more about goal setting or to download a worksheet with the STAR method of setting goals, visit the ABLE National Resource Center website, where you'll find a video too on setting goals. On the next slide, and on this side, you'll see examples of short-term and long-term goals, and that's the Y of saving. Now, as you move along, as you identify savings opportunities, you'll be identifying both your short-term goals and your long-term goals. And remember, you'll have more than one goal. Now, this graphic provides a really good example. It's important when you are setting these goals to remember to save for items or services that are qualified disability expenses. Those are acceptable expenses or disbursements from your ABLE account, and they must be expenses which enhance your health, your independence, or your quality of life, as we heard a little bit earlier. Now, this webinar won't be discussing qualified disability expenses, but if you need more information, visit our website. We have one full webinar. It's about an hour and a half on qualified disability expenses. Now, short-term goals, they could include things like the purchase of a new computer or perhaps medical expenses or saving in an emergency fund for examples such as perhaps car repairs or home repairs. And as we move from shorter term to longer term goals, you may be saving for an assistive technology purchase or education not paid for through other channels, or perhaps that vehicle purchase. Now, when you are purchasing a vehicle, I just want to throw one thing out there. If it's the second vehicle, it could affect your benefits. Now, at the right of your screen, you'll see home purchase, modifications, and retirement as longer-term goals. On the next slide. So for everything we'll be talking about today, we'll be giving you some tips and some promising practices. And on this one, we're talking about financial fundamental tips and practices and promising practices. So remind yourself often of your goals, write them down, and put them where you'll see them every day. You may perhaps want to place them on Post-its or even on sticky notes where you can see them often. The more you're reminded of the goals, the more you'll likely stick to your pathway in achieving those goals. Remember that your goals are fluid. They may change based upon time, situations, or even life events. You may have to reassess and change your goals. It depends upon life events if they're not working for you. Perhaps you had an unexpected emergency expense and you couldn't save in your ABLE account for a period of time, or perhaps you were laid off for your job. These are all good reasons to reassess your goals. Now, always be realistic, aim higher than you think you can achieve, and you'll usually surprise yourself. Make sure you understand the price of reaching your goals. It's not always easy, but recognize obstacles and work to avoid or eliminate them. On the next slide, additional financial fundamentals. If you're not working, but you'd like to work, employment is the single best way to save more to achieve your financial goals. If you are receiving a disability-based benefit from Social Security, you're eligible for free services under the Ticket to Work program. So check out the link on our slide. That's choosework.ssa.gov/find-help. Consider a savings and spending plan to help you to gain control of your day-to-day expenses and identify money that you can set aside in your ABLE account. In our resources at the end of the presentation, there's a savings and a spending plan link to our parent company website, the National Disability Institute. And while you can use that one, here at the ABLE National Resource Center, we're continually in the process of developing new tools to help you to save. And we're in the process of developing a tool we'll be posting to the ABLE National Resource Center website soon. So please check out our website periodically for new material that you can use. Now, if you have a special needs trust, consider discussing your goal with the trustee or whether the trust will contribute to your ABLE account so that you can achieve your goal sooner versus later. And some individuals will achieve a goal on their own, while others may need support or guidance to help them to achieve their goal. So don't be afraid to ask for help. And that's our next topic. On the next slide, we'll find ABLE workout buddies with a circle of support, as Miranda referred to a little earlier. On the next slide, if you have a difficult time understanding ABLE accounts, developing a savings or a spending plan, or managing your money, consider a circle of support. Now, you've probably heard this advice a million times or more, but the buddy system actually works, and having a solid support system can help you to understand and to stay motivated. A circle of support, it's merely a group of people committed to helping you to achieve a better future and meet your goals. The circle can be small, it can be large, and it can be comprised of anyone you know well and who can support you. It could be a family member, a brother, a sister, a representative payee, a friend, a professional, clergy, employer, or others. There are no rules as to who can be in an individual circle of support. But when you're building that circle, the most important thing is to include only individuals you know and you trust. And it's also important to always be cautious when you're sharing your financial information with individuals that you've only known for a short time or those that you don't know well. On the next slide, some tips and promising practices related to a circle of support. A circle of support, it's just like having a group of friends who can help you to sort things out. They'll help you to explore and prioritize savings and investment goals. They'll help you even to formulate goals. They'll clarify ideas about the future. So get to know your circle of support and ask for advice or ask for support with problems and talk about your goals. Your circle of support will likely ask a lot of questions because they're there to help you to reach your goals, your dreams, and your aspirations. Now, always remember though, as an ABLE account owner, you are in charge, you make the decisions, and you set the goals for what you want in life while being supported. Now, if you are working or you're planning to work, consider adding a Certified Work Incentives Coordinator or a CWIC to your circle of support to help you to find available resources in your community so that you can work to your fullest capability and use the work support that help leverage income and increase your savings. Now, to learn more how to build a circle of support, visit our website again at the ABLE National Resource Center at the link shown. So at this point, Miranda, I think I'm going to turn it back over to you to tell us about increasing your flexibility with some ABLE financial tools.
Great. Thank you so much, Marlene. Yes, and just as increasing your flexibility is important in terms of your mental health and your physical health and being able to be as flexible as you can be with supports or not, being able to be financially flexible is important as well. We want to make sure you all know that you're aware of. We may be reminding you or introducing you for the first time to some tools and tips, things to consider and remember about ABLE to help you be flexible and know that you're not locked in. It's not, you know, here's where I'm at and I can't move around anymore. So the ABLE National Resource Center, our website, we have tools to meet your needs so that you can compare ABLE programs. So we've got a 3-state comparison tool that's available at ablenrc.org/compare-states/. We also have our ABLE program features tool, which is ablenrc.org/state-plan-search. And the results page of this tool allows you to download files for all states or for select states to assist you in comparison. We also have our map of the USA tool. So for that, there's the ablenrc.org/select-a-state-program. And that's going to show you a map. And you can click on that map and find information. So these are some tools to help you compare ABLE programs. And why would you need to do that? Well, we're going to talk about that in our tips and tools. But let's, before we get to that, talk about other ABLE tools that can help you. I know that there have been some questions coming in on the chat about where other webinars and resources are available at. We do want to let you know that we have ABLE program spotlight webinars that we hold throughout the year. We have the archives are also located on our websites. And this is for specific state programs or multi-state collaborations. And that's located at ablenrc.org/resources/webinars/program-highlights. We also have our ABLE account special needs and pooled trust comparison chart. And that resource is available at ablenrc.org/wp-content/uploads/2019/08/ABLE account special needs and pooled trust comparison chart.pdf. Another tip I have for you for all of this, our search button in our upper right-hand corner of our website. If you were to type in ABLE account special need trust pooled trust comparison chart, or even ABLE account special needs trust, it'll bring you right there. We also have a resource, another tool, choosing the right ABLE program. And so there's a lot of really good tools that we have here. And you could type into the search function, choosing the right ABLE program. It's a PDF we have from 2018, but we keep these things updated, and other tools along these lines are being developed daily. Do go to our website and check back often. We're in the process of updating our special needs and pooled trust comparison chart right now. We worked on that with the Special Needs Alliance, and even we have new tools. Our ABLE Employer Toolkit is new and got launched earlier this month. So we're constantly evolving these types of tools. But these tools in particular, for your financial flexibility, we think they'll be very supportive of you. So if we go to the next slide and talk about just some tips and promising practices, we've got 1 or 2 slides here. We do encourage you to research programs using those ABLE National Resource Center tools that I just referenced, because some states provide state tax credits while other states do not. You should always check out your own home state first and continue to check out your home state in case they make changes that might make it, worth looking into and considering going there. There's also other programs outside your home state that might be a good fit as well. Do keep in mind, ABLE account limits vary from state to state and they often coincide with the state 529 account limit for those college savings accounts under 529. The range is $235,000 to $529,000 in terms of the limit of the amount that you can have in an ABLE account. Do keep in mind ABLE account fees vary from state to state. Those comparison charts will help you to take a look at that. Also, program options and fees for checking accounts, debit cards, money market accounts, and so on, they do vary from state to state. Most states and the District of Columbia allow non-residents to enroll in their state program. There are some states that are limited to in-state resident only, so be sure to check that out. Those comparison tools on our site will indicate whether it's open to non-residents. Keep in mind that fund hold times, they vary. So do read through the program disclosure documents and contact your specific state ABLE program to ask questions about hold times on the funds that are in your ABLE account. That's important for you to know because it'll help you in terms of how flexible do I need to be, what is a constant that you can take into consideration. Let's go ahead and take a look at the next final slide on our ABLE financial tips in terms of our flexibility here. So if you find an ABLE program with options that are more suited to your needs after you've opened your account, you're not locked in. You can directly roll over your ABLE account balance from one program to another 1 time per year. So you're not restricted to an account that's only in your state of residence. Some, but not all states, again, provide that state tax credit for residents who've established an account in their home state. Research it if it's important to you. There may be a fee to roll over from one 529A program to another. That information will be in the disclosure documents. 2 other things that are important to keep in mind. A 529 college savings account balance of up to $15,000 per year can be directly rolled over into an ABLE account each calendar year. And also, we referenced this before when we were talking about special needs trusts, but be aware that a special needs trust or a pooled trust can contribute into an ABLE account up to the annual contribution limit without an effect on means-tested benefits. So you can review a webinar we held on this, on ABLE accounts and special needs trusts. It's on our website. I know they've been posting where the link is to all of our webinars over on the right-hand side. But the special needs trust one, it's able-accounts-special-needs-trusts. So those are some great resources for you there. And they will all hopefully help to assist in your financial flexibility that will, of course, impact and support your physical and mental and emotional health as well, and flexibility there. So let's go ahead and talk about building financial endurance. And I'm going to hand this over to Marlene, because this is another, we talk about flexibility. Let's talk about endurance, because, we're in this for the long game. Marlene, can you tell us a little bit about how we can continue to make the most of our ABLE accounts?
Okay, thanks, Miranda. And one of the ways you can build financial endurance is to learn about the savings products offered by the state and the District of Columbia ABLE programs. And the products offered is something we actually haven't talked about very much in the past webinars. And there's 4 shown on your screen: the FDIC Insured Savings Account, a checking account, an investment account, and prepaid debit cards. And those are what we call the financial products. Now, the FDIC Insured Savings Account, saving money in that type of account, it's insured, FDIC Insured Financial, it's insured by the FDIC. up to about $250,000 per insured bank. Not all savings and investing methods are equal. If you're worried about safety, you may want to save in this type of a savings account. In addition, if you're saving for short-term goals, you may also wish to consider saving in this type of an account. Now, alternatively, if you're using, or if you generally will use your savings as a transactional type account, you may wish to consider a checking account option. There's also, now those securities are not insured by the FDIC. There's varying degrees of risk involved, including the possible loss of principal invested. But in general, when they have a higher rate of return, and when there's a higher rate of return, there's a higher risk. Now, if your savings are going to grow over time, more risk may be acceptable to you. There's also prepaid debit cards, and that may be something that you want to consider. Now, just remember, all of the products, or all of the programs rather, don't offer all of the products shown on your screen. But again, you would use the ABLE National Resource Center comparison tools that Miranda talked about a couple slides ago if you want to compare or contrast options. And those comparison tools would show you which products are offered by the programs. You can also review the disclosure documents, which also would contain that information. If you would like to get to the state or the District of Columbia disclosure document, you can visit our site and use the comparison tools, and there's a link to the disclosure documents. Now, you can choose one option, or you can diversify with more than one option, but you can only have one ABLE account at any given time. So on the next slide, we're still building financial endurance. So to build financial endurance, always have a goal and learn how your money can grow. It can grow in a number of ways. If you delay disbursements, you let the money sit there and gain interest longer. You can investigate alternative funding sources for qualified disability expenses. That means not using your ABLE account for those expenses if they're covered by other programs. And some of the other programs you may want to look at are vocational rehabilitation in your state, or Division of Blind Services in your state, if that's applicable, Medicare, Medicaid, or Medicaid waivers, a special needs trust, the American Job Centers, services from an employment network under the Ticket to Work program, a plan to achieve self-support, which is a Social Security work support, or also called a work incentive, or your State Assistive Technology Center. You can find your State Assistive Technology Center if you visit www.at-center.net/state program. Also, build your knowledge base, learn about compounded interest. And compounded interest is interest calculated on the initial principal that includes all of the accumulated interest. And again, that's something we haven't touched upon before in prior webinars, so we're going to talk about that for a slide or two. So on the next slide, we're looking at compounded interest. And this chart shows years of savings on the left-hand side of the chart. And along the top, there's columns, and they're labeled principal amount, interest earned, and new principal balance. And it's kind of a simple example of compounded interest. So if you go across the lines horizontally, you'll see in year one, $100 is saved. In this bank account, it pays 5% interest. The principal and the interest equals $105 at the end of the year. You'll see on the next line in year two, the principal amount, it's now $105. And as you can see, the interest earned, it's slightly higher because it was based on $105 in that account versus the $100 initially deposited. Now at the end of year two, you'll see the new principal balance, it's now $110.25. In the third year, the principal balance is $110.25, and as you can see, that amount earns even more interest, even though the interest rate remain the same at 5%. And you'll see at the end, during year 5, the account balance is up to $127.63 on an initial $100 deposit. So obviously, if this account owner is also saving money periodically, their account balance could grow even faster. Now on the next slide, the impact of compounding. So with compounding, there's a couple of rules. So the higher the interest rate, the more money you'll earn, the more interest you'll earn. We saw in the previous example, the longer the time period, the more money you earn because the interest is based on that higher principal amount. And the more frequent the compounding period, the more money you earn. Like in the prior example, the compounding occurred only once per year. But if it's more often than that, your money will grow faster. Now, there is rather a quick and easy way to find out how long it'll take to double your money, and that's by using what's called the rule of 72. So simply divide the number 72 by the investment's expected rate of return. And so, for example, if you have an investment with an expected rate of return of, say, 3%, it will take approximately 24 years for it to double. So the formula is 72 divided by the rate equals the time it takes to double in years. So 72 divided by years equals the yield. So in this example, $5,000, say at 10% interest, equals $10,000 in 7 years and 2 months. Now on that prior example with the $100, by using the rule of 72, it would take 14.4 years to double the money, and that's at 5% interest. So on the next slide, we're still talking about making your money grow, and there are a lot of ways to save more and allow your money to grow, and we've provided some examples on this slide. And one of the best ways to save more money and allow your money to grow is to become employed or become self-employed and use the Social Security work supports if you receive a disability-based benefit from Social Security, and that would be Social Security disability insurance benefits or supplemental security income benefits. You could find the work supports in the Red Book, and we've provided you with the link to the Red Book. It's www.ssa.gov/redbook/. You can also use automatic transfers from your earnings to your ABLE account so that you really don't miss the money that you save. Another way is to identify savings opportunities and allow your money to work for you. Record your spending patterns and make a savings and a spending plan that we talked about a little bit earlier. Leave your credit card home and manage or pay down your debt. And that's a goal a lot of you have because we took the poll a little bit earlier and many of you indicated that that is one of your goals for this year. Now, if your expenses will not allow you to save, you may wish to look for what I call daily spending leaks. And these would be things like magazines and newspapers or bottled water, entertainment, cigarettes, alcohol, or frequent dining out. Now, if you don't want to eliminate any of these, just cut down a little and save. I personally was surprised at how much money I could save when I eliminated trips to the local coffee shop and I eliminated the magazines I would always throw in my cart at the grocery checkout counter. Another way to save is to review your home telephone, your internet, your cell phone, your cable, or your satellite service and compare bundling. Also, another way I've learned is reviewing any insurance you have periodically, whether that's homeowner's insurance or perhaps car insurance. And you may be able to save by changing providers. Also review gas and electric from different suppliers and compare cost and save. So on the next slide, let's talk about financial endurance, but some tips and promising practices. And some of those are saving even small amounts of money today can add up to a significant amount of savings over the years. Explore your options and diversify your savings to earn even more. And if you're employed, consider automatic transfers to your ABLE account because when you transfer that money automatically, you're less apt to miss it. Consider making additional contributions to your ABLE account if you or your employer have not contributed to a workplace retirement plan in the calendar year. And we talk a little more about this on a future slide. And that's under the Able to Work provision, and it allows eligible account owners to contribute as much as $12,490 more in their account each calendar year. Now, residents of Alaska have a higher limit. It's $15,600 extra. And those who live in Hawaii, that's up to $14,380 additional. And that's an additional to the $15,000 contribution limit per calendar year. Another way, a tip and promising practice, a better way to save is to consider filing for the Earned Income Tax Credit. And next month, our webinar will be focused on taxes and tax credits, so you may want to register early to secure your spot. On the next slide, we're still talking a little bit more about financial endurance, some tips and promising practices, learn and save. Again, saving even small amounts today, and compounded interest can add up to a significant amount over the years. And we saw that a little earlier. Explore financial product options to explore diversifying your savings and investments. So instead of keeping all of your money in one product in a savings account, you may want to diversify and perhaps provide another amount in an investment account or other type of account. If you need to take a disbursement for a qualified disability expense, always investigate whether some or all of the costs are covered by any other public benefit program instead of using your ABLE savings, because that allows your ABLE savings to grow for a longer period of time. And explore tax credits that can help you to save even more for your future. And again, Laurie Shaler and Miranda Kennedy will be discussing that in the February webinar. So Miranda, I think I'm going to turn it back over to you to talk about increasing your health and your wealth.
Wonderful. Thank you, Marlene. So yes, first of all, we would say meet yourself halfway. You know, we know, many of us know that in terms of health, learning more about managing your food portions and increasing your exercise are really essential to health. And of course, if you can't afford a fitness center membership, Simply Walk is a great suggestion. Although you can certainly use your ABLE account funds to support your physical health and membership at a fitness center, as we discussed earlier at the top. But those are some things, you know, it's pretty commonly understood in terms of health. You know, watching your intake and calories and your expenditure in terms of exercise. And it's a very similar thing in terms of your finances, right? Thinking about cutting back, right? Not so many calories in, but cutting back on those unnecessary spendings and things that Marlene had just referenced to increase your ability to save more regularly and also save that money, you know, maybe put it straight into your ABLE account so you don't know you're missing it, like Marlene mentioned earlier. And that can really help to begin to reduce that cellulite from your debt load. And you can do both. You know, these things are very connected. So think about discretionary spending leaks for items like leaking out. You know, Marlene mentioned her expenditures at the coffee shop, and finally she had an impact on me, and I bought a little coffee machine here. You know, those types of things, they make a real difference. You know, instead of buying magazines, go to the library. You know, where can you reduce your spending and save more? If you want to eat out, lunch is a lot cheaper to eat out than dinner, things like that. So also, you know, weighing your needs versus your wants and tracking your spending, you know, to increase your health and wealth. The two are very combined. Now, how do you track your habits? Well, in terms of health, one of the ways we track habits on the next slide is we track the number of steps that you walk each day by using a Fitbit or a pedometer. You know, you track the foods that are eaten and the calories consumed and use the nutrition labels. In terms of fitness, that's tracking your income, your expenses, and saving. And we've got some tools we've referenced here today in tracking and monitoring those household expenses regularly to make adjustments as needed. And you can do both for eating and spending. Ask yourself if there are any emotional triggers related to current habits and make changes. Small changes really do add up, and we all have our kind of emotional financial scripts that we come with, you know? So examining those and being gentle with yourself and congratulating yourself on taking steps towards improving your physical, emotional, and financial health. And just taking those steps. So what are the guidelines? How do we learn about those guidelines? Well, with health, we know you compare food portion sizes to objects and you downsize portions accordingly. It really helps me to fit into my current wardrobe and not have to buy a new wardrobe. The fact that, you know, I eat my food not on a dinner plate, but on a salad plate. And you might pack it, but you don't go back for seconds. Tips like that, right? Those portion sizes. So similarly, guidelines in terms of finances might be, you know, establishing an emergency fund of 3 to 6 months of expenses. That means knowing what would 3 to 6 months of expenses look like for me realistically, really knowing that. Knowledge is power. And how to start saving for retirement income of at least 80% of pre-retirement amount is guidance that is given on finance, you know, when you're thinking about those guidelines. You know, kind of keeping on track with our connection here, increasing the muscle of your savings and investments by maximizing savings to the extent that's possible. That chart that Marlene showed, you know, how does your money make money for you? ABLE's a new place that's allowing that for people who previously didn't have that option, certainly for folks who are on benefits, who have, you know, very expensive, you know, expenditures related to living and accommodating a disability. So keeping in mind the total annual contribution limit is $15,000 from all sources, but as Marlene mentioned earlier, an employed ABLE account, an owner can contribute more under Able to Work. So really making the most of that. And I'd say we hear from ABLE account owners who are able to do so, that the biggest tip they have, are ambassadors that they share with others, is, you know, that delaying disbursements that Marlene mentioned earlier, or in more plain speak, if you can put your money in your ABLE account, if it's possible to not spend it, you know, that's a great option for you. Certainly people want to be able to access that, and different people have different situations they're living in. But if you can leave the funds in an ABLE account and expend funds elsewhere, ABLE can grow, and that's really going to be building that muscle of savings and investments and maximizing the use of your ABLE account. Which really, okay, now the next slide. Let's talk about third parties, because you're not doing this alone, right? And when we're talking about increasing the muscle of your savings, you can have third parties contributing into an ABLE account, and that can be hugely helpful. So examples of third parties can include family, friends, employer, a special needs trust or pool trust, which is not counted as a resource, or an estate. It also includes a 529 or a 529A rollover. Those third-party contributions into the ABLE account do not count as income to a beneficiary who receives means-tested benefits. So this is really helpful. You're not doing it alone. Also, in terms of being an account owner, for earned or unearned income may be contributed into the ABLE account from that account owner themselves. There's no change in the way means-tested benefit programs count earned or unearned income contributed to an ABLE account. So keep that in mind. And the total annual contribution limit for 2020 is $15,000 from all sources. And keeping in mind, an employed ABLE account owner can contribute more under Able to Work, as Marlene mentioned earlier, and with those different rates for Hawaii and Alaska. So finally, on the next slide, Marlene had shared this, that certain employed ABLE account owners can contribute that above the $15,000 in the Able to Work Act. So an account owner may be eligible if he or she and their employer have not contributed to a 401A, a 403A, a 403B, or a 457B retirement account in the calendar year. So that's some of the specificity that Marlene mentioned we'd be alluding to here. And that's additional on top of the $15,000. And it's whichever is less, their gross income for that taxable year, or the $12,490 for the 48 contiguous states, or Alaska, that's the $15,600, or Hawaii, $14,380. Finally, let's talk about employment and benefits planning. If you're working or planning to become employed and receive a disability-based benefit from Social Security, seek guidance from a Community Work Incentive Coordinator, a CWIC, to understand how working affects all public benefits you receive. CWICs provide free benefits counseling services to help you understand how working affects benefits and how you can make good decisions for yourself. And a CWIC can help you use the work supports that Social Security offers to help you become employed, to work at higher levels, or to transition off of benefits, if that's your goal. And there's that Choose to Work website, choosework.ssa.gov/find help Marlene had mentioned earlier. Finally, let's do a very quick poll here. Just please tell us which of the following things you learned about during today's webinar. And then we'll be sharing just a few final resources and next steps for you. But Al's going to throw up onto the screen and I'll read it behind everyone. So Al, can you go ahead and throw it up on the screen, the poll for today, and I'll read this aloud for folks. So let us know, and you can select one or more in terms of things that you learn more about today. The link between financial health and physical and mental health, where to find the tools to compare ABLE programs, setting goals, how a circle of support can help, various financial tools, and finally compounding and making money grow. If you could share the thing that, maybe you learned all of those things, or the thing maybe that struck out to you the most. We know we've got a varied audience here, so some of you may have known quite a bit of this, and there might be things that are new to you though. Can you let us know? We'll be quiet for a moment while you take that poll. Okay, Al, can you share with us the results from the poll from our audience? Okay, it looks like in the lead, we would have where to find tools to compare ABLE programs. Okay, well, we're glad if that's new information for you, we're glad you learned it. We hope you'll check those out. And then finally, various financial tools and compounding and making money grow being some of the leads there. It actually looks like a bit of a tie between a lot of these. Okay, great. Thanks everyone for participating in our poll. It's nice to know where you're at. In our final moments here, we want to share with you a few things to take away. Okay, so we want to introduce you to our 2020 ABLE NRC ambassadors. They're going to be focusing on financial fitness with us here in 2020. And we're going to talk about next steps and resources here in our final few moments together. So if we go to the next slide, and I know that my team is going to be sharing in the right-hand corner the web page where you're going to be able to start tracking as we share their stories, information on our 2020 ABLE National Resource Center ambassadors. Our ambassadors were selected after a nationwide search during which we were privileged to hear really so many powerful and compelling ABLE stories. The application was open to parents and guardians of children with an ABLE account and to working age adults with an ABLE account. We have a mixture. This is our third group of ABLE account owners, so now we will have had a cadre of 27 ABLE account owners and family members who have served as ambassadors with us. Really this group represents such diversity in terms of different types of disability, different geographic locations, ages, gender, race, ethnicity, sexual orientation, different state ABLE programs, and a wide range of ABLE goals. And many of them have already lived into their goals. Things like home ownership, purchasing a vehicle, saving for education and other things. And these folks are teaching us and serving as an advisory board as well. And you'll be hearing more of their stories in our webinars, in our newsletter we hope you will sign up for, in upcoming podcasts. So please check it out because this is where it's at. This is where the rubber meets the road. All right. So if we go to the next slide, we want you to keep in mind, like all participants today, our ABLE ambassadors, they're really unique. The group's comprised of parents. They've got those hopes and dreams and goals and needs that may be similar to yours. So please do track that. Follow their stories along with us. Each of them is going to have different goals, and they'll have tips and strategies for you. So you can be hearing directly from others who are kind of pushing the envelope and checking out new things. I'll just mention, one of our account owners from last year a young woman who you heard from the top helped to encourage the free application for federal student aid to include, excluding ABLE accounts from being looked at for that. Was one of the first we heard from for that, and we're able to take that forward. So this group can be very influential and supportive of needs that will be reflective of all of you out there. They're teaching us new things all the time, and we're taking that forward. One final thing in terms of next steps, we encourage you to open an ABLE account early. That's something our ambassadors would tell all of you. 201, open it early, learn the rules of the program as you go, reassess periodically. There's flexibility here, so you're not locked in, and it's not much to get started. The charge for opening it is fairly low compared to other vehicles. Keeping in mind establishing those goals, developing that budget, using those tools we're providing you here, connecting with that benefits counselor, and making wise decisions and maintaining good records and receipts. You need to gather a lot of information, and really these resources are key. So keep this in mind. In terms of resources, the next couple of slides are going to have a number of resources we hope you will take away. Most of them are on the ABLE NRC website, information on, how to enroll, the roadmap to independence, how to set financial goals, the STAR method Marlene mentioned, how to build that circle of support, ABLE best practices and action steps. We've got an NDI financial education toolkit. Please take these slides with you. I know that my team will be posting them in the chat box as well, these links. There are multiple of them in here. And as we're wrapping up our time, if we can go to the Help Spread the Word page, please do sign up and join our Achievable newsletter. Subscribe to that. You'll be getting great information there. You can also connect with us on social media, on Facebook and Twitter. And do participate in our upcoming Able to Save webinars. I'm going to be sharing with you on the next slide the February webinar registration information. And if my team can post that in the chat on the right-hand side, it is going to be taking place on February 13th. We're going to be having ABLE, the IRS and tax advantages, what you need to know. And we'll be having an introduction from our contact at the IRS, who will be setting us up, and Lori Schaller, who you all have been supported by today in the chat, will be presenting, and I will be supporting her. We look forward to having you all join us. This will be an important webinar. If you have an ABLE account, or you're going to maybe set one up after today for yourself, or help a family member of your circle of support do so. Again, February 13th, 2 o'clock Eastern, and that will help you in terms of, that April 15th tax deadline. We'll give you plenty of time and ideas and tips that will be very helpful. Please do join us. And I'd like to just finally thank my colleague Marlene, the team today who supported the webinar, and I'd like to thank all of you for joining us here at the ABLE National Resource Center. Would really also like to again thank our sponsors, Prudential and our other sponsors who support our work here at ABLE NRC and getting the word out about ABLE accounts to all of you. Thank you, and enjoy the rest of your day. And please do take a few moments to complete the post-training survey at the end. That's really helpful information for us in terms of what we include in our webinars and our materials that we develop and get out to the public. Thank you, everyone.